Thriving in the Middle, a course by Mike Cook, developed by Victor Marromo, your strategic planning and performance management coach. Hello, manager. Welcome. Why this course? Do we really need another course on managing? We can answer that question simply. No, there is no need at this time for any more courses or books on how to manage. So this is not that kind of course. However, a radical reimagining of the role and value of operational level managers is called for at this time, which we will be spending our time developing. It is our firmly held belief that operational level managers are both a key element of operational success as well as the catalysts for any organization to work smarter. They are one of the key stakeholders of any organization. In order to develop these core contributors to operational and strategical success, a new appreciation of what it means to manage in the middle must be created and supported. Any such approach will orient thinking towards a customer first, hierarchy second. Managers will begin to see their worth primarily flowing at them from the customer desires, rather than seniors' management directives. The development of managers will reflect this reorientation and become much more like the work itself, rather than the heretofore methods of varying degrees of simulation. Such an approach will break the cycles of managers being sent to development programs rather than choosing to attend. Increasingly unaffordable developmental programs requiring extensive costs and time away from focusing in the work. One size fits all immersion style. Training with limited relevance to specific manager challenges, and offering little or no framework for applying course content on the job. Solo study of online material offering no practical value and lacking the added benefits of collective sharing of experience and learning. What follows represents a breakthrough in thinking and execution of the professional development of operational level managers. And as I told before, this type of managers are one of our key stakeholders. Through thousands of hours of action research embedded in real-life management environments, a set of observations have emerged that connect seemingly trivial or unrelated conditions. Most managers hold operational level positions. Most of these individuals will remain operational level throughout almost all their careers for legitimate reasons, not for lack of opportunity or talent. Their talents are uniquely suited to this level of management. There are distinctly unique skills involved in being a strong performer at the operational level of management over time. Managers who are driven to attain a senior level position will leave an organization rather than accept long-term employment in the middle or front line. The primary value of operational level managers is the development and retention of talent within an organization. People with similar challenges benefit from a community learning experience. Our peer forum learning experience, where they can share experiences and practices on a regular basis. The mystery of how to work smarter, not just harder, has not been adequately addressed in many of the organizations I have worked for and work with. Think for a moment about the type of leadership your organization needs from your operational level managers these days. Now ask yourself this: what do I really think the odds are of us consistently getting the performance we are counting on from our operational level managers without doing things differently? If you answered something that approximates pretty low, then what if you could link managers' problem-solving ability like computers can be linked for greater processing power? Managers and management development could become process-driven rather than event-defined. Development took place in small doses over time, rather than large doses in concentrated time. Operational level managers were developed to become the best operational level managers they could be without concern for upward advancement. Development and application of learning took place in a near real-time experiential environment, using actual situations faced. Managers derive most of their developmental benefit from conversations with other managers facing similar issues. If these outcomes sound like good value for your organization and for your business unit or your learning and development department, you are probably working in an environment similar to most places, meaning that most places would recognize the opportunity being described. Unit 2: Restoring the luster to middle management. Distinct from senior executive levels of management, the operational, senior, middle, or frontline manager operates much of the time in the moment, with responsibilities that have immediate and often conflicting deliverables. In many instances, the issues they face cannot be put off without incurring undesirable consequences. The ability of people in these positions to work successfully under conditions of increasing complexity and in the face of often continuous ambiguity is a requirement of the modern work environment. Operational level managers oversee execution in most organizations. They operate on the often hazy divide between strategic and operations management. That is why we are focusing on this type of middle managers. They are the source of what the customer identifies as delivering the goods in virtually all companies. They are the real creators and executors of the strategic factors. Their development is therefore a strategic concern and critical to all the overall needs of the larger organization. For at least The past 2 decades, there has been a great deal of attention and allocation of resources aimed at reducing the number of operational level managers in business, with all the push to automation, virtualization, cloud, etc. This attention and its desired effects have been well intended, yet often misguided. The overarching consequence today is at operational level and frontline managers have more responsibility and fewer resources with which to achieve results. And remember, they are key stakeholders in executing and creating new strategic factors for customers, for suppliers, for other employees, and for corporate or owners. Working harder to keep pace with demand has a natural threshold and quickly reaches a point of diminishing returns as mounting job stress leads to reactionary practices and ill-conceived decision-making. The pressures to reduce expense and increase effectiveness are legitimate. However, the unintended consequence of these practices may in many ways offset the benefits achieved. As expectations of operational level managers continue to expand, these individuals need new thinking. New thoughts will lead to new actions, and managers will become more effective, stronger leaders while fostering greater accountability, responsibility, and inclination to initiate among those employees they manage. An entirely new intelligence and critical thinking is needed in our organizations to deal with a complexity that now is simply the world of business. This new intelligence will be more community based, less individual outcome focused, and be built on the development of powerful working relationships, collaborative skills, and perspectives. We have to rethink the collaborative mindset. This new intelligence has already been distinguished in works such as social intelligence, the new science of human relationships by Daniel Goleman, Where to Connect, Dialogues on Social Intelligence by Daniel Goleman, and Social Intelligence, the new science of success by Carl Albrecht. The work that has been achieved to understand social intelligence is important. However, the frames of references in which the initial work has developed are either individual or honoring of current hierarchical models. Both represent additive knowledge, incremental improvement, being developed within current constraints rather than launching into entirely new operational constructs that offer the opportunity to generate performance at unprecedented levels. The current set of operational level management skills and their collaboration mindset is, for the most part, insufficient to the problems of the 21st century, often ambiguous and always fast-paced business environment. Managers must learn ways to lead, more for engagement than compliance. They must delegate, develop, and reward frontline employees, with an eye towards building the capacity of frontline workers to make sound decisions and take effective action from a community perspective in the face of increasingly complex changes. 3. Recognizing the power in lateral connections. How do you tap the lateral power in your organization? Maybe you didn't even know it was there. From the Merriam-Webster dictionary, power, as a concept, is defined as the capability of acting or of producing an effect. In physics, power is the rate at which work is performed or energy is converted. In business, power is the rate at which work is performed, and capital and human energy are converted into customers. From the Merriam-Webster dictionary, lateral is defined as relating to, characteristic of, or borne upon the side of any object. In business, lateral power, then, is a latent capability in an organization that is tapped when functional priorities are aligned laterally towards accomplishment of clearly understood and defined mutual objectives. This lateral alignment of functional priorities frees up human resources, otherwise constrained in service or hierarchical concerns, to engage more completely with the creation and retention of customers. There are a lot of things in life that we don't see until they are named or distinguished for us. In the organizational life, lateral power may well be one of these things. To be certain, we have from time to time tapped into the lateral power grid, the organization's hierarchy that has its own forceful, frequently unconscious and unintentionally suppressive nature, mostly hides it. Usually, lateral power becomes visible around some sort of crisis, and when it does, we call it teamwork, a term that does not capture the full opportunity available. We are all very familiar with the concept or ideal of teams and teamwork, depending on our industry, software or hardware. For instance, working in teams to deliver our products is the way the work gets done. It is the only way things get done given the complexity of the tasks. But how about in those very same companies or others where team is more a label than a fact, and when we refer to the leadership team, the executive team, or the management team, are those really terms or terms we use to identify certain parts of the organizational hierarchy? Do those teams really demonstrate lateral power, or do they fit Webster's general definition of team, a number of persons associated together in work or activity? Do these types of teams in your organization or business unit function like collaborative communities or a number of persons associated together in work or activity? Searching for untapped power sources. Contrast the following description of a team designed to optimize lateral power and organizational learning with what you might experience or witness in your own organization. Imagine a school superintendent or a CEO leadership team that meets regularly for getting work done and can be counted on to consistently drive the organization towards the accomplishment of its goals. Much of the time it carries on the straight ahead work, just as it always has, but with a significantly greater level of effectiveness that might normally be expected with a group like this. Does this sound like your leadership team or any of your teams? Or does this sound like a description of the way you hope your teams would function? If this sounds like a description of a dream team, that has solved the riddle of working smarter rather than working harder, you have drawn the right conclusion. But now you are going to ask, how did they get smarter? They tapped into the power of lateral power. The first question, how did they get smarter, is not a trick question or based in deception. No, it is a tough question. A question which has not been adequately answered through employers have invested significant energy and dollars to pursue improvements in the level of employee engagement and performance over the past decade. Engagement is a key element in the answer, but we seem to still be a long way from understanding how to enable this condition, especially given the diversity of our workforces. The very same employers that are desperately pursuing engagement are still not tapping the lateral power grid, mainly because it is hidden behind all the concerns for maintaining hierarchical property and perpetuating the limitations of current modes of employee development. Now, here is the answer to the question of how this team got smarter from the source that asked it. It is because the team has also developed a robust and continually accessible second channel at regularly scheduled intervals and spontaneously when they need the things to change. It can shift from an operational to a learning mode. Team members are aware of their own and others' resistance of immunities to change, and of the group collective tendencies to protect itself from the very prowess it seems to make. These folks are plugged into lateral power. How did they get there? How do they stay there? They engage in facilitated practice, regularly, consistently, and wholeheartedly. They also do not differentiate between work and development, because for this team, development is work, and work is development. There is no separation. We have all been in this situation. The stakes are clear. The talent is available, and suddenly, at the most crucial of times, we meet the enemy, and it is on us. Only, unlike the dream team being described here, we cannot get out of our own way, or when we do, either in part or grudgingly, the work gets done, but at a dear price, and the future looks like a steeper climb. No one is really looking forward to the next time we get together. Unit 4. There are two roads. The road well traveled. In today's business environment, the language of growth and development is widespread. Everyone on their own struggling or underperforming team may have even participated in their company's learning and development or university. So, what gives? We have all completed the leadership or management development curriculum. So, why are we struggling? Why don't we shift back and forth from operating to learning mode, like the dream team described earlier? Where is this pathway forward to access lateral power? Chances are good that in our corporate university we were exposed to the traditional transmission model of adult education. This format rests on the premise that a subject matter expert can transfer crucial knowledge to us by some means: lecture, videos, role-playing, simulation, etc. The expectation is that the learner has an insufficient store of information. The expert will add some of what is missing and voila, performance improves. There is no presumption that the learner may already know what to do, and by virtue of other factors, cannot execute on that knowledge. Really? How many times immediately after making a mistake have you muttered to yourself, "I know better than that"? And when this happens, we really did know better. Usually, we have no clue as to how to avoid making the same mistake again, because knowledge has nothing to do with the mistake we made. It was what we didn't know that we didn't know tripping us up, and we were not supported by peers to prevent a reoccurrence. The traditional transmission model assumes perfect ability to apply what is being learned. If not, there must be some defect of character or attitude involved. So, the net difference between our struggling team and the dream team is that we have an attitude problem. You shouldn't accept this conclusion. So let's go to a road less traveled for some insights. What is one difference between our team and the dream team is that they are better able to distinguish between types of issues they face. They recognize that there are differences in types of issues, and that these differences call for different approaches. For the sake of this discussion, let's say issues fall into two large categories. Category 1, technical operational, and Category 2, adaptive. The dream team does a better job than our team at spotting the difference between technical and adaptive, and address each in a different manner. They have learned these distinctions together as they practice. The table above displays one version of the distinctions between the two big categories of technical and adaptive. Please review this table and comment or write your own notes. Having taken even a cursory look at this table, you can probably quickly identify that teams often get hung up even acknowledging the adaptive challenges they face, much less dealing with them. The dream team, with practice and facilitation, has developed the ability to move fluidly back and forth between the two categories of issues. But who knows? Maybe they are just more talented than we are. Please, don't accept this conclusion either. Let's continue our journey along this road less traveled. More likely, the truth of the matter resembles something like this. There is no appreciable difference in the people or talent who populate the dream team and those on our team. Both teams are made up of dedicated people doing the best they can with the means they have available. The difference lies in the means visible, the means available, and the key structural element. When the dream team assembles, the company has created a culture with a developmental stance towards employees. This is to say that the company expects not only productivity from employees, but also that they will grow as people while employed there. The company is prepared to invest in employee growth. What does a culture with the developmental stance look like for you? Please write your notes down. We have finished these 4 first chapters. Please try to review them, make your own notes, and write down your own questions. We are going to go into development as a culture of the organization and business unit in our next unit. Thank you for listening. This was Victor Marromo, your strategic planning and performance management coach. I will see you soon in the next unit. Goodbye. Hello, manager. This is Victor Marromo, your strategic planning and performance management coach. We've reached Unit 5 of our course in Thriving in the Middle, authorship of Mr. Mike Cook. Mr. Mike Cook is a good friend of coaching ourselves. He and Phil Lanier had forged great communication and insights on management development and learning and peer forum learning. In their book Immunity to Change, authors Robert Keegan and Lisa Laskow have identified 7 crucial elements of a developmental stance. Attributes of a developmental culture. 1. It recognizes that there is life after adolescence, that adulthood too must be a time for ongoing growth and development. 2. It honors a distinction between technical and adaptive learning agendas. 3. It recognizes and cultivates the individual's intrinsic motivation to grow. 4. It assumes that a change in mindset takes time and is not even paced. And it is very important, this point. We need time to pause and to reflect and plan and act on change. 5. It recognizes that mindsets shape thinking and feeling, so changing mindsets need to evolve the head and the heart. 6. It recognizes that neither change in mindset nor change in behavior leads to transformation. Remember, knowing information does not lead to transformation, but that each must of us be employed to bring about the other. 7. It provides safety for people to take the kinds of risks inherent in changing their minds. Having noted these 7 elements, you can contrast to your own culture. If, for example, you look at the way you conduct your developmental activities, here's what you likely find. Development is done away from the workplace. Classroom focus on a periodic event basis, with the assumption that development is learning, meaning you focus primarily on providing new information. By centering on individual rather than group learning process, with most classes made up of participants who share no interdependency. While assuming all developmental issues to be more or less technical, developing skills is sufficient. While your current approach may be sound for technical issues, it is based on a model of education designed for children and carry it over into your workplace. Fortunately for you, the model will suffice for technical education, but it falls short of what the dream team has been exposed to in their environment, with a strong developmental stance. Let's check a list of different between your approach and the other over where the dream team operates. Design features for organizational learning. Let's start with the skill development focus. 1. Learning in artificial groups classes versus outcome focus. Learning in real work groups. 2. Time out apart from workflow. And we all know this. The course is set after hours in the workplace or in another environment or place, versus infusing learning with workflow. 3. Time limited versus time elastic. 4. Indirect learning accountability versus direct learning accountability. Informational, technical versus transformational, adaptive. 6. Seeking transfer of learning versus starts at transfer of learning. 7. Serving team leaders versus co-teaching with team leaders. And this is a very important subject. We need to co-teach with team leaders and with members of the peer group or the peer forum. Tight boundary between learning boundaries, adjunct faculty personnel and line personnel versus loose. 9. Loose connection to overall corporate strategy. This is crucial, my friends. Tight connection to strategy. Our learning has to be in order to respond to our strategy, to our strategic planning, towards our key stakeholders, called clients, called corporate, called employees, called suppliers. Our approach is from the outside in, and we will learn from the inside out. Please keep that in mind. This is our key principle in learning and development. 10. In preparation for an initiative versus in support during or continuously. Perhaps in reviewing the differences in developmental environments, you can see that if all you faced were technical challenges, you'd be fine. However, your employees are a group of adults faced with complex work issues, some technical, some adaptive, some soft, and you are not preparing them well for the latter. By the way, our so-called dream team developmental environment includes both sides of the table above. The primary differences you see if you visit the environment is that much of the developmental education is woven into the workflow in real time and takes place in intact team sessions with the aid of facilitators and guest experts. You can also be very likely see why the dream team's environment reflect the road less traveled. And this, my friends, is our approach to learning. 20-minute, 30-minute learning can be facilitated by the team leader, by your wisest operator, by a key performance salesman. You can work out some team huddles with very specific learning carried out during the workday. For at least the better part of a century, we've been using an educational design crafted from the command and control mode. For a certain time and an economic reality, it worked, but that time is now past gone, and the world of distributed leadership and decision making is upon us. We have all reached the end of that road we traveled for so long. Before moving on, please consider this. An attempt is being made here to establish that access to lateral power is not gained by participation in a traditional developmental event or experience. Lateral power is developed through participation in a distributed developmental community, which we call DDC, or a peer forum learning. It is distinguished as an opportunity in a developmental environment. The process of distinguishing the opportunity of lateral power will be compelling, but alone it will be insufficient to sustain the access. You must be continually prepared to constrain the forces that will ask, "Is it over yet? When can we go back to doing things normally?" Establishing and maintaining a distributed developmental environment based on the belief that there is always room for all employees to grow will threaten the prevailing hierarchy and many an entrenched internal developmental staff. It will test many of the management large assumptions upon which past practices have been based. It will not eliminate the transmission model of education. It will complement and empower that model. It will expand the world of employee development by moving the opportunity right into the place where it can make the biggest difference and offering it when it can make the greatest contribution. So, what do you think of this model? Pause a little bit and write your comments or your notes. An outcome-driven practice. You cannot take employee development directly into the day-to-day workplace and not have it become outcome-driven. The environment itself will shout the question, and rightly so. How is this going to help us produce the results? What you will find when adding the element of adaptive development into their direct working environment is a team of employees or managers will prefer programs that start at transfer, designs that are rooted within real, intact operational workgroups. In these groups, the members have a purpose and mission beyond their collective learning. We're talking about these forum groups or peer forum groups to which that learning is tightly linked. Because they work at the real challenges together every day, they naturally have a continuing and self-interested need to see change and improvement in each of their colleagues, and are automatically inclined to appreciate it when it occurs. So we've reached the end part of this course. We will continue to part 2 in another video newsletter. Part 2 is called Making the Case for the Distributed Developmental Community, in which we will be discussing some case studies and profounding on this type of learning and development, in which you can see and look real experiences in the workplace about learning. So, said this, we will have a long pathway to continue with. Please try to write your questions, taking some notes, and tell a little bit what have been your experiences with learning and development. Have you tried these peer forums or group and community learning? What do you think of strategy intertwined with this type of learning? As we are talking about strategy to our key stakeholders called corporate or owners, clients, suppliers, and employees. What do you think? What are your opinions into which category this type of learning falls in? Maybe the reflective mindset, or the analytic mindset, or the collaborative mindset, or the action mindset, or the let's whip all together mindset, based in the 5 mindsets of the manager. Said this, see you in part 2. Please remember to take your notes, comment with your peers. Your peers has to be a short number of people, let's say 5, maximum 6 people. Design a leader or facilitator that can be rotative, week in, week out. And I will be glad to hear your comments, questions, and suggestions. Let's grow up. The old type of learning in classroom can be very well complemented with this new type of learning, which will be a great impact to your business unit, to your team, to your leader, to your skills growing, to your personal growing as a fellow collaborator or employee or leader. We are based here into operational or middle managers, but this can be extrapolated to more upward type of management, semi-senior, senior, or top management. I know that if you make this happen, productivity will surely increase. Engagement also, which is very important. And we will be more strategically oriented, and our performance management measured by our behaviors, and KPIs will be reached. Said this, thank you, and have a really nice day. See you in part 2. This was Victor Marron, your strategic planning and performance management coach and consultant. Goodbye.